Gambling, winning, and losing streaks, and the standard deviation. Part 3, uneven payoff games. In Part 1, we saw how the deviation in the expected return changes with the length of play. In Part 2, we saw how this applies to games where the house has an advantage. Here I have a new gambling simulation. This thin red line represents your change in bankroll when betting on an even money bet in roulette. The thick red line shows the same thing for betting on a single lucky number, which pays 35 to 1 if the ball lands on your number. Both types of bets have the same house edge, 5.3%, but the lucky number bet has a much larger standard deviation. I built this graph with a zoomed out scale so that you can see the wild results. The lucky number bet usually loses, as shown by this downward slope, but 1 in 38 times, on average, it wins 35 units, as shown by these sharp jumps in the zigzag pattern. On average, you can expect about 10 or 11 wins in this 400 bet session, the length of this graph. For either type of bet, you can expect to lose 21 bets on average in the 400 bet session, so the average endpoint is here, 21 units below the starting point. These two small black lines show plus and minus 1 standard deviation for the even money bet, whereas the big gray grid lines are spaced at 115 units, the standard deviation for the lucky number bet. In 2/3 of the sessions, you can expect to end up between these two lines for the even money bet, or between these two lines for the lucky number bet. Let's try several sessions and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You can see that a few extra lucky wins in a session greatly increases your bankroll, whereas being short a few expected wins ends up with an extra large loss for the session. Like that. Let's review the summary table for the even money bet on red. For a whole day session of 400 bets, the standard deviation is 20 and the chance of a positive day is 15%. Here's the summary table for the lucky number bet. The standard deviation values are much larger. For a whole day session of 400 bets, the standard deviation is 115 and the chance of a positive result is 43% instead of 15%. Does this mean you should bet on a lucky number instead of an even money bet? The answer is yes, if you can afford to put a lot more money at risk. Your moderate losing session is minus 136 bets versus minus 41 bets in the even money game. Remember that you have a 1 in 6 chance of doing even worse than this moderate loss. Certainly though, the lucky number bet is more exciting to win. If you're interested in seeing the table for blackjack card counting, continue with part 4.